Can you do the pledge for us tonight?
Yep. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First up is disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there anyone who feels they will have a conflict of interest with the vote they're going to take tonight? Seeing as none, approval of the consent agenda. Could I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Do I need to do a roll call, Patty? Sorry.
Yes. Council Morris,
Yes.
Council Olivera,
Yes.
Council Smith,
Yes.
Council Mayu,
yes.
Council Foss,
Yes.
Council Frankie,
Yes.
Council Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is on unfinished business, order 78/2020.
An order providing for approval of MPI agreement, Main Street Commons Drive. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the city manager be authorized to sign a municipal partnership agreement, MPI, with the State Department of Transportation regarding improvements to the Upper Main Street Commons Drive intersection. Be it further ordered that he be given authority to spend up to $30,000 from the city's annual road paving account to provide the city's share.
Move to
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thanks, Sid. Any discussion? Could I get a roll call, please?
Council Morris,
Yes.
Council Olivera,
Yes.
Council Smith,
Yes.
Council Mayu,
Yes.
Council Foss,
Yes.
Council Frankie,
Yes.
Council Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next, ordinance 80/2020.
An ordinance providing for amendment to public safety ordinance. Fire Department services. Be it enacted by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows. That the attached fee schedule be revised to add a new section, Section 6, Emergency Medical Services.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Can I get a roll call, please?
Council Morris,
Yes.
Council Olivera,
Yes.
Council Smith,
Yes.
Council Mayu,
Yes.
Council Foss,
Yes.
Council Frankie,
Yes.
Council Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Sorry, everybody. Got bedtime going on. Moving on to new business resolution 82/2020.
A resolution providing for authorization for sale of tax-acquired properties. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows. That the city manager be authorized to advertise for sale 3 single-family residential properties located at 3 Abbott Street, 4 Union Place, 70 Violet Avenue. This authorization is provided with the understanding that the final sale is subject to approval by the city council.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I have a question, just because of I need the information. When we put these on the market, Mike, do they go on there for the taxes owed, or how does that all work?
No, they go on there for the assessed value, what we
Okay.
believe to be the assessed value.
Yep.
So the one at 4 Union Place, I hope you got pictures, and I hope the picture for Union Place shows that home is really in very good shape. We went through it, and this is the one I recommend that we list with a broker, because I think this is something that we, probably should get full value for. The other 2, Abbott Street and 70 Violet Ave, are both in very rough shape. I don't know if Sydney, you ever got to 70 Violet Ave inside or not?
I
What do you
certainly
mean?
did. I took a tour of that with Linda.
It's a cement slow. I'm gonna put it again.
What?
What?
We can hear you.
Sorry, I'm trying to log
No.
in my internet.
No, I did have a tour with that, Mike, with Linda. And that house is not in that rougher shape. The outside may look a little drabby, but the inside is solid. Has a brand new furnace, has a brand new basement, has all new wiring, has all new plumbing. So like Linda said, this will be a good fixer-upper and turnover type home for contractors to come in, and we both see a contractor bidding on that and taking that and turning that into something viable.
And that's our plan with that one on Violet Ave and the one on Abbott Street, to advertise those locally. It's the city do it, because we have 3 or 4 contractors, people that bid on these homes every time they come up. And we've done homes with 2 or 3 of these people. We've had very, very good luck. And that's what we were thinking with Abbott Street and Violet Ave, is putting it out that way. Both, we've had to send the public works crew in to take out huge amounts of garbage at each place. You remember that probably at Violet Ave, Sid.
Oh, I certainly was involved with shutting that house down, as you know.
Yeah. So that's our plan with those 2, is to advertise them for anybody that wants to come in. And if we don't get what we feel is a fair price, then we'd come back to you and let you know that we'd like to list it with a broker.
Do you need an amendment to use the broker for Union Place?
Nope.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, can I get a roll call, Patty?
Counselor Morris,
Yes.
Counselor Olivera,
Yes.
Counselor Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Mayhew,
Yes.
Counselor Foss,
Yes.
Counselor Frankie,
Yes.
Counselor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
And just as a reminder, we don't sell these properties until they come back to you and you approve the final sale price.
Next is ordinance 83, 2020.
An ordinance providing for amendments to personnel ordinance, be it enacted by the Waterville City Council acting as the municipal officers, that the amendments described on the attached memo be approved to bring the personnel ordinance up to date in accordance with state and federal laws, as well as current personnel practices.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
This is a long overdue housekeeping measure. We haven't updated our ordinance to get it in compliance with certain state and federal laws. So that's what this is about. Bobby's here to answer any questions if you have any.
Claude?
I see most of it's a matter of updating for the Fair Labor Standards Act. Is there any actual change in personnel operations due to those changes?
No, no changes. It's just updating the language at this point.
Anybody else? Eric?
I assume no matter what it says in our ordinance, the federal law applies anyway, right?
Correct.
We've been acting under those guidelines, even if our ordinance is not up to date.
Correct.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll take a roll call.
Counselor Morris,
Yes.
Counselor Olivera,
Yes.
Counselor Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Mayhew,
Yes.
Counselor Foss,
Yes.
Counselor Frankie,
Yes.
Counselor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is resolution 84, 2020.
A resolution providing for elimination of trash pickup at mobile home parks. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as the municipal officers that beginning on July 1, 2020, the city will no longer pick up solid waste at mobile home parks located within the city.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Anybody want to take the lead on this?
I'll try.
Councilor Thomas?
This actually came up years ago when we were talking about the purple trash bags. The way we see it, and really then, which we should have done this years ago, these are commercial entities, the mobile home parks. It's no different than a apartment unit that has more than 4 units. And it's really just about efficiency for public works. I mean, it makes more sense for these residents to haul their trash to a dumpster than for them to haul it out to the road and then have public works have to load each bag individually into the truck. And honestly, the residents at the mobile home parks are buying the purple trash bags right now anyway. So even if the mobile home park owner decides to institute a fee, it's likely going to be a wash for these people, and it'll be much more efficient.
Anybody else? We'll go Councilor Mayhew, Foss, then Frankie.
Yeah, in conjunction with Eric, because we did discuss this, Eric, at the Solid Waste Committee together. Definitely agreed to this has been on the burner for a while. And in the greater scope of things, with obviously solid waste being one of the higher end costs to the city, it just makes sense. Almost private trailer home parks are obviously have dumpsters of their own or have arrangements with the person that owns the park for trash haul. I mean, it's very, very seldom do we see anything but, except for the ones that we have in Waterville. And this is going to save the city a lot of money, and obviously we want to eventually trickle down solid waste pickup at the. And this is a perfect way to do that and save the city money. Mark Turner said that we could save anywhere between 3 and 4 tons a week in trash. Think about that for the fees, for the dumping fees, and those kinds of things a week. That's pretty substantial. So I think it's a good measure.
So in Village Green, and I want to speak to them speak about them specifically. Prior to the sale, they were charged $10 a month for their dumpsters, and it was actually more expensive when the new owner took the dumpsters out and they went to purple bags. So this is going to help them in the long run. So I'm all in.
Okay.
Having looked at the solid waste ordinance, it looks like there is some ambiguity in the definition of who's qualified for purple bags and who's not qualified for city pickup. I think it will probably move us to amend the ordinance to make sure that the mobile home parks fall into the same category as the larger apartment buildings.
Anybody else?
That's a good point. I think we should do that. Thank you.
Councilor Thomas?
The only other thing I want to add is that we have also asked the schools to get dumpsters instead of Public Works picking up. And so we've started a conversation with Public Works that they may be able to go to 4 days for trash pickup instead of 5 days. And the thought would be to eliminate Mondays because a lot of holidays fall on Mondays. Those people kind of get the short end of the stick, have to wait sometimes. So we're hoping that by eliminating the mobile home parks and having the schools get dumpsters, we may be able to amend the way that Public Works, does trash pickup.
And while we're on the trash subject, just before we came on, I got another message from one of my constituents that Walmart, I think he said Walmart was out of purple bags again. So everybody needs to be conscious of that.
Anybody else? Okay, Patty, can I get a roll call?
Council Morris,
Yes.
Council Olivera,
Yes.
Councilor Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Mayhew,
Yes.
Councilor Foss,
Yes.
Councilor Frankie,
Yes.
Councilor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is Resolution 85, 2020.
A resolution providing for referral to the planning board. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as the municipal officers that in accordance with Article 7, Section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance, a proposal to amend the zoning ordinance is hereby referred to the planning board for public hearing and recommendation.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Foss?
Counselor Smith, did you have a chance to talk with with people out on Streamview Drive and the surrounding areas where this is located and get
No,
their feel?
No, I did not. And no one's reached out to me either. I've heard nothing.
Anybody else?
Derek.
Counselor Thomas?
I did not speak to, it's actually a gentleman on County Road, I believe. I didn't speak to him. His daughter cuts my hair. So she had reached out to me about this. So this is a way to deal with the issue of solar farms in rural residential. And, you know, we decided a few council meetings ago to not just allow it in all of rural residential. So Mike and I talked to Ann Beveridge earlier or last week about just creating a new zone for solar developments. And so that this goes in conjunction with the next item. And the idea would be that if the council approves and there's no, you know, objections from the neighbors, then we create a new zone, the solar zone, and I think they would have a certain amount of time to actually put it in and then it would revert back to rural residential if they don't.
Counselor Foss?
So the mayor has said it a few times in the time that I've been coming to council and now sit here, that the city already has a zoning ordinance. We have zones. We've listed where solar farms can go. Landing another solar farm out in rural residential, and I said it last time when we took the verbiage of rural residential away from solar farms. Nobody wants to sit on their front deck sipping a coffee looking at a solar farm. Now, I'm not in on this one. I'm opposed to this. It's along the lines of the same standing I've always had. You know,
I would say I am too, simply because these things turn into toxic waste dumps. Anybody who's followed solar technology, it's one thing to put them on your roof, but you see these solar farms, and it's actually a major problem in America right now, where some that have been outdated, there's no way to actually safely dispose of these toxic materials. And I personally, I mean, Waterville has a housing crisis. We don't have a solar farm crisis. We have a housing crisis. We know that for the city to grow, we need more housing development. I can't even imagine taking up prime land by rezoning just to allow essentially a taxpayer and CMP ratepayer subsidized, scam subsidized the toxic waste dump. I don't know.
And to add on to that, we then, if this one goes through, we set the precedent for all other rural residentials. We
Right.
set the precedence with this one, because, and I've got a lot of rural residential in my area, and everybody is opposed to any type of solar farm out here. So,
Well, I don't agree. I think first of all, I don't have a position on this particular project, but I think the gentleman certainly deserves to have it considered by the planning board based on its own merits. So without seeing the site plan or what the details of this, it at least merits a discussion. And I believe the sentiment when we talked about rural residential was that we didn't want to just say you could do this anywhere in rural residential. Now, I think to make the leap and say that there's nowhere in rural residential where this makes sense, I think that's too big a leap. And the other thing I would say is if you're looking at, this is something that will generate tax revenue, but will not, there aren't kids going to school who live on the solar farm. who, there aren't people who want city services. If we're talking,
Eric, we want kids going to our schools. I don't know.
I know we do,
want to
but
grow the student population.
what I'm saying is this is it could be a net positive. It's a way to get tax income that doesn't tax city services. And so while like I said, I don't know enough details about this particular project to say yay or nay. At the very least, there should be a mechanism to consider it, to look at each individual project. And approving one doesn't mean we're approving all of them, because they all have varying conditions that go along with them.
Absolutely, I would agree.
I think Councilor Mayhew and then Frankie.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with keeping it out of rural residential with Rick and the mayor on this. I think I'm all for solar projects because I've been involved with a little bit with the solar project stuff, and I do think it's a profitable entity if used the right way, like the intent. But I think using city-owned land to do that is more of a benefit to us. I really want to respect the rural residents of Waterville, the few that we have, and there's not a lot of countryside in Waterville left out of a 13 square mile radius. And you think about it, when you're driving through Waterville, you kind of look forward to going across those lines in different wards and actually seeing trees and fields. I mean, it's just a very comforting thing. And I've talked to several residents in and throughout, and even business people that are in full agreement with that sentiment. I think we get into the same thing with sending this to planning board. We get into the spot zoning thing all over again. We send this person to the referral to the planning board, and then they consider it. We get into the same old scenario that we're trying to get out of. I really believe that we should restore and protect, some of the last remaining pieces of land out there that have fields and woodlands and stuff like that, and just it just doesn't make sense. We can have balance here, and I think city-owned land is the place for those types of projects.
Eric? Oh, wait, Councilor Frankie was next, then Eric.
Well, I certainly agree with Councilor Mayhew that as we can get something going on city-owned land, and indeed the solar committee authorized by this council is currently reviewing responses that we got from the request for proposals that we put out a couple of months ago for a development of a solar farm on land near the airport. They will expect to report back to council shortly on the status of that project. On the other hand, I have to disagree with Councilor Foss when he wants to restrict the use of a property owner to make money on his property. That's simply what the solar farm does. It's a use, just like farming or building a housing development. And I don't see that there's any particular reason for us to restrict someone from using his property in the way that he sees fit.
Well, in response to that, Councilor Frankie, I'm going to say I can't put a gas station on top of my property, but so I guess you'd be in favor of me being able to do whatever I want on my property and change it into whatever zone I want in order to make money, because you just said we shouldn't have the right to tell people that they can't do that. It's the exact same scenario. I would say from an environmental and conservationist point of view, this is an environmental disaster, and you're basically selling the future of a beautiful, beautiful environmental landscape to turn into these horrific industrial toxic waste dumps.
Why don't we let the planning board debate this, though? I think it deserves to be sent to the planning board.
Because when we did it before, we said that we were going to ask the planning board to actually make uniform zoning, and we were doing it specifically not to spot zone. And now we're going right back to saying, oh, well, we just went around the same bush, just spot zone. Eric?
Well, I just go back to the discussion we had the last time, which is that we thought there might be places in rural residential where this makes sense. We just didn't want to approve it everywhere. And so I thought that was the point of what we did before. And this is a way to address that issue. Second, you could look at, I hear a lot of people who think Trafton Road is a great thing, the new exit out there. Well, that's rural residential, and every single one of those residents objected to it. And yet we put it through because we need the tax base, and land with no buildings on it is not generating much tax revenue for the city. We need density because we don't have a lot of land area. And I would say that, just so everyone knows, I mean, the email that I have from Kevin, the owner of the property, says that they're planning a $6.5 million investment that would yield $116,000 in taxes the first year. So we're saying no to $116,000 in tax revenue without even giving the project consideration of sending it to the planning board.
Well, sometimes actually, yeah, actually, there are, I think, a lot of us who actually don't put a few short-term dollars that in the long run aren't going to actually have a huge impact on our city budget, because you're going to eat that 100 grand. I've been involved in city budgets for 5 years now. That 100 grand is going to get eaten alive like that. That's not going to make one bit of difference to the taxpayers of the city of Waterville. And so, yeah, I don't sell the future of my city for a few bucks. I've learned a lot of lessons in 5 years, and that's one thing I've learned. Councilor Mayhew, then Foss.
Yeah, I mean, as said, I mean, without a doubt, that housing is the major push, is what we want in the city. Housing is what Waterville needs. I mean, and at the same time, we've got to protect and hold true some of the last, really wildlife areas that are left in the city of Waterville. I mean, we're the fifth smallest city in the state of Maine, and we can't have ungodly solar panels on every stretch of road and buildings on every stretch of road. At the same time, we're trying to increase the enrollment at Waterville Public Schools. What better way than to sell land and do subdivisions and have family homes? Housing is the major thing that we should be pushing for property tax relief. Solar farms aren't going to always do that. You can do that. You can get balance. You can put these things on city-owned land, and you can increase housing, and you can increase enrollment in the Waterville Public Schools. That's what Waterville should be about.
I would just also ask too, who pays for the subsidies that make solar affordable for everybody? Who's paying for that? Do you think Waterville residents and Waterville ratepayers pay for that subsidy, just like we pay for the wind scams? Councilor Frankie.
Well, it's always interesting to listen to your tirades against green energy, Mayor. But the point,
I'm being an environmentalist here, Councilor.
the point that I would like to make is that solar energy is coming in leaps and bounds in Maine, since the legislature changed the rules for solar to make it much more profitable. And in fact, there are solar farms going up in Norwich Walk, Fairfield, Madison, all around town. The main limit on solar farms at this point is the ability to connect to the grid through CMP connections. So the fact that we're debating little piddly projects like this means that Waterville is simply getting left behind, and you find that the school board has reached out to purchase electricity from a nearby solar projects, because in fact the price of solar energy is below what you're paying for your oil-powered and gas-powered electricity, Mr. Mayor. The economics.
Why is it cheaper?
The economics have shifted dramatically in favor of green energy, and it's simply foolish, I think, on the part of Waterville to pass opportunities to get to move into the future instead of staying in the past.
Well, let me ask, if we approve a solar farm, is this council prepared to require that written contracts that require the installer of such solar farms to have reserves to remove them when they are past their prime, or are we going to get stuck with these toxic waste dumps?
I think that's worthy of discussion. It could be part of the zone. And we're not, again, we're sending this to the planning board to have a discussion and vote on it. And then it's going to come back to us and we have to vote on it again. So I'm not sure having this debate tonight is necessary. I think we should give the planning board an opportunity to weigh in on it. We should give the person who wants to build a solar farm a chance to make his case. And if the planning board wants to say yay or nay, that's up to them. And then when it comes back to us, if we want to say yay or nay, it's up to us again at that point.
Yeah.
Sure. I would just say that I hope going forward that the city council gives direction to the planning board to actually do what we've talked about for a long time, which is decide what the highest and best use is for the land in the city of Waterville. Make your zones and stop this continuous spot zoning. That's what I would ask in return.
I don't disagree with that. I just would say it's a huge project. And
Gotta start sometime.
somebody's got to be prepared to take that project on. And we can't hold up all development until we finally get around to doing that, which has been talked about for as long as I've been in city government.
Councilor Foss, you had something?
No, I'm good.
All right. All right. Patty, can you get a roll call?
Council Morris,
Yes.
Council Olivera,
Yes.
Councilor Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Mayu,
No.
Councilor Foss,
No.
Councilor Frankie,
Yes.
Councilor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor and 2 opposed.
Moving on, next on the agenda is Resolution 86, 2020.
A resolution providing for referral to the planning board. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as the municipal officers as follows. In accordance with Article 7, Section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance, a proposal to amend the zoning map is hereby referred to the planning board for public hearing and recommendation.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Patty, can I get a roll call?
Councilor Morris,
Yes.
Councilor Olivera,
Yes.
Councilor Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Mayu,
Yes.
Councilor Foss,
No.
Councilor Frankie,
Yes.
Councilor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 1 opposed.
Okay, next. Hang on, I'm in my email here.
I know.
Could I get somebody to waive cloture? We had a motion to waive cloture for order 87, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Can I get a roll call on that, Patty?
Councilor Morris,
Yes.
Councilor Olivera,
Yes.
Councilor Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Mayu,
Yes.
Councilor Foss,
Yes.
Councilor Frankie,
Yes.
Councilor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. Would you like me to read it, Mayor?
Please.
An order providing for authorizing sale of city property, Airport Road. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council, acting as the municipal officers as follows, that the city manager be authorized to execute a purchase and sale agreement to sell property located in the Airport Business Park, Lot 7, for $62,500 to the Robert Napier Revocable Trust.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Well,
Discussion.
thank you for taking it up out of order. It's, I think, an important item for us to do tonight because the offer on this lot expires Friday. So this gives us an opportunity to respond. I hope you all were able to take a look at the information I sent, a map, and I thank Patty for typing up the order tonight. She also included a copy of the purchase and sale or the offer sheet. I think the offer that's been made of 62,500 is a reasonable one. Our asking price has been 64.9. Been that for a long time. So I think it's really right in line with what we sold lot number 5 for last June. So I'm glad to answer any questions you might have.
Plus,
Have they indicated what they're gonna do with that piece of property?
I'm told by the broker that the idea for the use is marijuana growing operation.
Thank you.
any other questions? Okay, can I get a roll call, Patty?
Counselor Morris,
Yes.
Counselor Olivera,
Yes.
Counselor Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Mayu,
Yes.
Counselor Foss,
Yes,
Counselor Frankie,
Yes.
Counselor Thomas.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay, that's the agenda here.
Thank you.
Next is counselor updates. Is there any counselor updates this evening? Okay, managers report. Mike, that's you. Mike.
go for Mike.
I would point at him, but he can't. Can't hear.
All you.
Help me out.
You're,
I'm not getting all of the audio. Was there a question or are you on to managers?
Managers report.
manager's report, Mike.
I'm good. I hope you're good.
All you, buddy. No pressure.
No managers report.
Sweet.
There we go.
All right. Budget review. Budget review. First up is information technology.
Thank you. Well, with us tonight, Josh Grant is on the.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We need to get
Managers report, managers report.
That was the quickest budget review I've ever seen.
Boom.
Oh, he's not even here anymore.
Very efficient.
Turn it over to Josh.
I'll take
Yeah.
over for Mike. Josh Grant is on the line, and also Joel Way from the IT department are here. So I would turn it over to them, unless Mike, you want to have some opening remarks?
Hearing none. Josh and Joel, you're up.
Joel, he may need an assist over there.
Yeah,
Speaking of IT.
right.
Yeah, speak.
Perfect
Can you-
segue.
Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
No,
What?
No.
just kidding.
All right. So everyone has a copy of the IT budget. You can see that the increase is at 10%, more than we'd usually like to see, but almost all of that is in one line, and that's the information technology line, the software systems line. But first, in the salary and benefits category, if there are any questions, we're ready to answer them. Just as a reminder, we have 2 full-time people, Josh and Gareth, and Joel and Gareth, and Josh still serves as our part-time director off-site. So Joel, you're with us. I'm going to ask you to just talk about that one line under the operations that is the software support line.
Sure. So you'll see that there's a fairly significant increase in that line. That's mostly due to the fact that we haven't accurately reflected the costs in that line the last few years. We've been kind of pulling from other lines to cover those shortfalls. So this year we're trying to to more accurately show where that money's going. Like everything else, software contracts are going up, becoming more expensive.
I have a quick question. Is this software that we use here in the city, or when you say support services, I think of the support that you guys provide to the surrounding communities?
No, this is all for Waterville. It'd be like police records management system.
Gotcha.
Our ERP software for HR and finance departments.
And in looking at these services and things of that nature, and you guys know better than I do, this is not my wheelhouse, but are there things that we can do to move some of this more in-house, more of an upfront cost now to save future? For when you say police records, I'm thinking just things just sitting on hard drives in places and things of that nature. Are those things that we can maintain ourselves without having to pay any type of service fee or anything of that nature?
Not really. There's a lot of FBI and criminal justice security stuff that goes along with that covers some of that stuff.
Okay.
Mike, any type of funding that we can get for from FBI? I'm touching on that just because Joel just said it. Is there anything from the feds to help with those incurred costs?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, not that I'm aware of either.
Just thinking out loud here.
No.
That's all. Good.
I want to make sure we don't forget. I want to make sure we don't forget to look at the revenue page for IT also, which is right at the very front of your budget book. It's on page 1 of the revenue section. You'll see that our IT revenues are up to $60,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now,
that provides for IT services to Clinton, Fairfield, Winslow, Oakland, KV Cog, and we also do the Opera House and the library too.
Correct.
Now, we had this discussion last year. We talked about what we charge. We started doing the comm center and things of that nature, and we started down this road. And I don't believe that either we finished it or we decided not to make a change. But is this reflective of any type of increase in what we charge the outlying municipalities for support? Or are we pretty much flat? Are we in line with, what it would be if you went somewhere else? Or
this does reflect a small increase.
but is the increase reflective of the industry, or are we undervaluing the services that we provide just because we're used to it, but we don't have the ability? Very similar to what we did with the comm fees. I mean, those went up substantially for doing the same type of service, but it just, we were just subsidizing it more. Do we have an opportunity to be more competitive with the market versus just, being a municipality?
I would say if there was going to be, significant increases over that, it would probably.
I hope my audio.
What?
Go ahead, Joel.
I hope my audio is back. I've been disconnected 3 or 4 times already. The message is my internet connection is unstable. But on the question, Mike,
Good job,
about the
Joel.
revenues, we did increase the hourly. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, I mean, when you say you increase,
We did increase the hourly rates for
what?
Yeah, I'm losing losing the
Joel.
audio
All right,
too.
so
Sorry.
that's gonna be an increase for the
I'm not
for the
doing
towns
anything.
that pay hourly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see like there's like an increase of $1,000. I mean, I don't know what $60,000 the request, or with the projected the projected revenue of $60,000, what that equates in hours.
I guess the question, Joel, is do you feel like we're charging fair market value for the services we're providing? If these towns had to go out to bid, would we come in below, above? Are we right in line with what they would get charged by private companies? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's probably pretty close, maybe a little low. But I think if you were gonna make an increase, it would have to be probably over, gradual over time. I don't think you can make a huge increase.
One factor in our decision about how much to increase fees was the fact that on the dispatch side, we had increased fees very dramatically, obviously, as you remember, for Winslow, Fairfield, Oakland. We didn't want to hit them with a IT increase at the same time as the dispatch. So those three contracts we pretty much kept the same.
And just to follow up, the subscription services that we're paying for, those are just for Waterville. They don't, like, I'm assuming the other towns, anything that you require for subscription services for them, those are handled by them and not inclusive in this revenue line.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Joel, Josh, thank you both. HR budget is next. Bobby is with us. So if you go to page 21 of your budget book, you'll see the HR budget. On the salaries and benefits, there's not any big changes there. There's 2 retirements at least happening in the next budget year, myself and Mark Turner. So you see there's an increase in that line. And under the benefits category, fortunately, there's no big increases there under the deferred, any of the benefits. And Bobby, on the third block of the budget, where's workers' comp, unemployment, and so on, no changes at all in that block?
No changes at all. Our mod rate is going down. So with salaries going up, it kind of equals it out for workers' comp. So we should be right in line with where we budgeted this year.
That we'll get up to the budgeted amount of 265 or close to it.
I think we'll be pretty close to it.
And even though our mod is going down next year, as you say, the salaries go up and the workers' comp is based on salaries.
Correct. They do an audit every year of our actual payroll. So, yeah, it's based on what we actually pay people.
Okay. What's a big increase under the dues and memberships advertising in that block?
So the advertising and recruitment includes the manager's search. So the funding has been put into my budget this year to pay for the services to look for a new city manager.
That's the $6,400 increase.
Correct.
Any other questions? I should have mentioned this when Joel and Josh were still on the air, but I'll do it now and include Bobby and say that those 2 departments, IT and HR, have been incredibly important through the whole virus crisis as we've seen it so far. Obviously, public safety is right there at the top, but HR and IT have been right close behind in supporting them and supporting everyone else. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, guys.
I have a question. Sorry, as we review this, you know, when you look at workers' compensation, like I'm assuming, like, is that people getting hurt on the job?
Yes, so that's it's just like a health insurance. We pay a premium and then, so that number doesn't reflect actual injuries. It's what a mod rate is based on industry average. Right now, we're a little above our industry because we had a significant multiple year lost time claim. That is going off the books. So it's just like your car insurance or health insurance, we pay a premium.
So it's not a reflective of money that's being paid to city employees that are currently out on disability for whatever reason.
Nope, it's just like any other insurance.
Okay.
It covers us in case that does happen.
Okay. Because I was just wondering, like, if there was a way for us maybe to bump up, like, you know, the wellness and the safety committee things to help people, you know, not get hurt.
Right.
I don't know, you know, what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like $500, you know, throw a little more money there to save us, you know, a couple hundred thousand in the top line, but fair enough.
We good, folks?
Yeah.
Okay. As a reminder, for next week, we continue on our budget review. I guess we haven't decided on the lineup of departments for next Tuesday night, but if it's still okay with the council, we'll schedule that budget review for next Tuesday at 7. And we'll certainly send you a notice of what you're going to be faced with. Okay? Good?
Sounds good.
Thank you all very much.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Dagger.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.